Hi, this is Shaka Hislop, and you're looking at Extra Time TV with Andrew Suklal on Biz TV.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Extra Time TV. We have a lot of football to talk about, but before we get started, I'm not alone on the set today. We have the one, the only, Fenwick. How are you today?
I'm great, Andre. Always good to see you, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So we love to talk about football here. It's no big secret. We're going to kick things off. Trinidad and Tobago have some crucial matches in the CONCACAF Nations League. We have a chance to make it to the playoffs. We are on top of the Group A, to be honest.
Yep.
But, Terry, before we get into all that, let's just hear a quick statement from the head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago national team, Angus Eve.
There were three changes from the last group that we had. Shannon Gomez has an injury, so Alvin Jones will come in and replace him. Tyrone Charles will replace Sam from Defence Force, and Real Gill will come in to replace Malcolm Shaw, who also has an injury. But everybody else is in good spirit. Nobody has no other players has any injury for us now. So it's just for us to go and, we know what Guatemala brings to the table. We've been watching the tapes on them, and we're just going to prepare for that. Well, we want to win the game. We definitely want to win the game. It's not going to be an easy game. Guatemala is, they made quarterfinals in the Gold Cup, very decent unit. They are unbeaten in the zone so far. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy game. They have a lot of competent players. They're well coached. So we're not taking anything for granted. Well, we hoping to. Our first remit in this rebuilding stage was basically to stay in the A. That was our first port of storm. And now that we have the opportunity to do something bigger, we're going to try to grasp it with both hands. So we're in a place where nobody thought that we would have been winning the both matches in the first round, in the first two matches. So we just want to keep on believing in ourselves and believing in the guys, believing in the staff, and believing in the work that we all have been doing, and hopefully we can continue to make Trinidad and Tobago proud. I was just talking to somebody who know a little bit about football. He manages this stadium, and he was saying that he was pleasantly surprised by the guys' performance, and I think that has been the general outcry from people. Nobody expects us to win the games, so the guys winning the games give them confidence and probably put a little bit more confidence, because we as a people don't like change. So when we revamped the team and we changed the team after the Gold Cup, I think there was a little bit of hesitancy, a little bit of a little bit of anxiety and deprivation of what to expect. I think what people have seen from this group is that their willingness to fight for the country, their willingness to fight for the jersey, and more important, the message that these boys are sending out. When Nathaniel scored the goal, when Aubrey David, the captain, spoke, you see what's happening in the country, and these boys are embracing the responsibility that they have to do something and make the country continue to be proud instead of negativity.
All right, so that's what we had to hear from Angus Eve. It's a long interview, so we try to shorten it as much as possible. But before we get your response, Terry, we're going to take a quick look at the squad he called up.
Yes.
It's a very different squad, and as people know, there has been a lot of people that have been missing from this particular team.
Yes.
So, we know about the exit of Kevin Molino and so on. So this is the squad here, Terry. You notice there's some unfamiliar names here. There's some new people in there. There's no Kevin Molino, obviously. We all know about that. We'll touch on that quickly.
Yes.
There's no, Marvin Phillip. A key absentee, of course. There are some absentees in this where there is no Levi Garcia. There's no Nicholas Frendrup.
Garcia will be a big miss.
Yeah, it's a big miss.
He's been our best player for a while.
Yeah, no, he's a shoulder injury, and also Keston Julian. So Terry, with this information now, I would love to hear your thoughts about the squad, the missing players, and your general thoughts on what Angus said.
Well, first and foremost, I think I'd have to say this: Angus is one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. He's everybody bar one behind the ball, very defensive. He doesn't change that. And in competitions, you've got to be flexible. You have got to be able to change. Of note, there's a number of players he's left out, senior players. And as much as he's painting a nice picture there, we all know there's a lot of disgruntled ex-players behind the scenes, not at all happy with the way things have been moving on. particularly with the coaching and the tactics of the coach. So Molino will be a miss. Jovan Jones was also very critical. He'll not be involved. But there's some, Trinidad and Tobago have got some fabulous young talent. It's how quickly we bring them on, but we don't dower their game by being so negative in the team's stance moving forward.
Yep. And, this is something that he's proud of. I mean, he spoke about this type of tactics. I'm a guy who appreciates different tactics, but I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of youthful players, Angeron, Mockett, and these guys, talented young players. Sadu, who hasn't been called up. A lot of people have been asking about him. But, we'll address this, when we come back from the commercial break. But I'll end this off before we go to the break, where I totally agree with we have to make sure we don't stunt the growth of these players, which is an entire conversation by itself. So, but the one good thing is the silver lining, if I want to see it, with Trinidad, not just, with the coaches and so on, is that we do have a chance to make it to the playoffs and so on, possibly at the Copa America, which we'll talk about later on, folks. But we'll talk about that. We're going to step away for a couple moments, folks, to do a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Don't miss out on potential business. Start combining targeted outdoor advertising with social media marketing to maximize the impact on your target audience. Capture and engage your audience even more with interactive games and live streaming to create memorable experiences that make your brand unique. Step outside the box and into the street, taking advertising to the forefront.
Manage inflammation with Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, powerful, natural anti-inflammatory supplement that has helped millions find relief from their pain, just like world-renowned cricketer Kyron Pollard.
I've been playing cricket for most of my life, and I don't know what it feels like to wake up and not be sore. If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you.
Just like world-renowned cricketer Dwayne Bravo.
Don't wait until it's too late. Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL.
Live healthy, stay strong with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food store today.
All right, folks, and we're back, and there's a lot of exciting things to talk about. We're trying to condense this in our 30-minute show. But before we continue, be sure to look at your screens. Keep your eyes peeled because we have barcodes that will be popping up. Be sure to have your mobiles or cell phones, depending on where you come from and how you'd like to say it, to scan that, because when you do that, you could actually do comments, suggestions, and maybe win a prize from one of our sponsors. But I can tell you what the prize is. It's a copy of EAFC, which you could probably play against me if you all dare. If you want to try, you could find me on the PSN network. Dracool 10, gauntlet dropped, Terry. Gauntlet dropped. I'm not afraid. I may not be able to take them on the field. Actually, that's debatable. But I could take you on the PlayStation. I hope you'll accept the challenge. So back to the real thing, Terry.
I'm taking that challenge up myself, mate.
Challenge accepted.
Terry is not afraid. So that, well, listen, now should I have made that challenge? So folks, it's going to happen. We're going to do that. So we're going to head back into the actual football now. So, the last two games, Trinidad and Tobago got some impressive results against Curacao and El Salvador. 3-2 away to El Salvador, which a lot of people, that's always a tough one. And Curacao, we got a 1-0 victory.
Well, El Salvador, I thought, was a great result. They're a good side. They're difficult to beat. They've fully introduced, bring them through. Their quality. And when we look at the way the world's moving in football, it's not the old boys anymore. It's the youngsters. And you look at your top coaches, your Pep Guardiolas, you look what Arteta's doing at Arsenal. All youngsters coming through, doing good jobs because they listen, they keep to the game plan. That's what they're being taught. That's what their upbringing's been about.
Yes, and the players are now exposed to more information. In the past, it's not perfect. We know about this. We speak about this at great length. Karen and I have a separate podcast we do on a radio show. So a little name drop right there. But there's so much to talk about. And that's why we do these things. But we talk about tactics, and this is where we're different on the show. We also have data to back things up, so we can analyze, do real analysis.
Good.
And thanks to the folks from SofaScore, we have some wonderful information for the last two games. So we'll keep things in context. Trinidad and Tobago, we have some data here where the last two matches they played. Obviously, this is some basic stuff. They won 2, so obviously the efficiency in wins is 100%. Scored 4, conceded 2, and then we have some follow-up data as well, which we'll pull up really quickly. In both games, we had shots on target, 5, and the accurate passes, 71%. So the attempted passes based on his types of tactics. We can talk about that afterwards. Duels won, as a lot, of course, it's football. So 58% duels won, This is a team that prides itself on being defensive and, keeping things tight.
Yeah.
Chances created, which is an interesting statistic. I'm seeing 3 here, big chances created, where, it shows it's kind of reflection of the style of football.
Yeah.
And ball possession overall over the 2 games. Folks, this is over the 2 games. Just to
but
give
you
you
see,
some,
I mean, doesn't that just tell a story itself? 32% possession means that we are very much in a defensive mode, sitting in our, not just our half, we're sitting in our back third, defensive third. That's typical Angus Eve. Now, with the better, when we play against teams that within the region that we should be beating, how do we change that up? Is there another tactic? Is there another formation? Is there other players, more attacking players to come in and turn it around? There's not. We've not seen that so far. And these stats are brilliant because that really does tell a story right there.
Yeah, it gives you, because, in addition, we all have our opinions and so on. But when you do analysis, you can see
32% tells a story.
Yeah, it's overall. And, one could counter argue, okay, maybe, because there's different schools of football.
Yeah.
I could appreciate that. I love attacking football.
Yeah.
I also appreciate, you work with the players you have. And I can understand sometimes, I look at Syria, although it's not as defensive as people think it is anymore.
Yeah.
I can understand, defensive tactics, and it comes at a price.
Yes.
But, I think for long-term growth, okay, maybe you could argue you're getting the result, yes. But for long-term development, you really want these guys to reach their full potential.
Yes.
And the stats show this. So it's not even about our opinions, folks. This is from, globally recognized SofaScore.
Yeah.
And, you can see on the data over the last 2 games, the collective possession is really small.
Yeah.
And I guess, that's what he says he wants to do. Will it work later on against the bigger teams? We'll see. That's the question.
That's it. We'll see.
Yeah. And, the objective is to get out of the group. So knowing that we've seen this information, we've seen the results, which seem to be working right now.
Yes.
Do you think moving forward, heading into this game, which we'll touch on it before we head to another commercial break, but do you think this type of approach would work heading into a game like this?
Not at home, where we're expected to be the team on the attack.
Yeah, the protagonist.
Yes, we're expected to be in possession of the ball, forcing the game. That doesn't work with the same tactics as Angus Eve has always ever looked at. But you see, when you look at Luis Fernandez, their manager, he's very adaptable. So he will chop and change his tactics, his movements, the way he plays, the setup of his team. He will change it to suit Trinidad and Tobago, who we play against. And I'm looking forward to this because over time, we will see what players come forward within the squad to do well.
Yeah.
And I think that's, generally speaking, depends on how your tactics are worked out.
Yeah, and I asked that question specifically because it's home.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of pressure to really perform for your home crowd. We have a very unique home crowd in Trinidad and Tobago where it's not like, some of those hostile South American and European nations, which sometimes works against us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to let them know you're in our house sometimes.
But as well as that, when as a coach on the training ground, you've got to have your movements forward as well as defensive.
Yeah.
So how many players do you commit forward? What sort of runs are they making? Are they out to win runs? So you're looking to score goals. Are they in to out, looking to get down the channels? You don't see that too much with Trinidad games because we've only got one guy up front more often than not, and that's Levi that we're missing out on. But we need to change that up because when we're playing against sides that we need to beat and beat convincingly, score goals, the players have got to be used to on the training ground, movements, change of direction of the ball. All of that's got to come into play, Andrea.
Yes. And, there's a lot more for us to talk about. We have some information, more data as well, folks. We love data in this place.
Absolutely.
Data versus it beats everything. So we're going to speak about, the form guide and our history against these teams.
Yes.
When we come back from this break.
Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, powerful, natural anti-inflammatory supplement that has helped millions find relief from their pain, just like world-renowned cricketer Kyron Pollard.
I've been playing cricket for most of my life, and I don't know what it feels like to wake up and not be sore. If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you.
Just like world-renowned cricketer Dwayne Bravo.
Don't wait until it's too late. Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL.
Live healthy, stay strong with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food store today.
Don't miss out on potential business. Start combining targeted outdoor advertising with social media marketing to maximize the impact on your target audience. Capture and engage your audience even more with interactive games and live streaming to create memorable experiences that make your brand unique. Step outside the box and into the street, taking advertising to the forefront.
All right, folks, and we're back, and we have lots of information. And just a reminder, keep your eyes peeled, because we have that QR code that's popping up from time to time. I'm not going to tell you when. You're going to have to keep watching, folks. But Terry, back to the topics at hand.
Yes.
We're playing Guatemala in the Hazy Crawford,
Yes.
and I'm going to take a quick look at some our historical stats against Guatemala.
Right.
So I'm going to pull this up really quickly. We played them 25 times. We won 9 times, drew 8 times, and lost 8 times. 47% efficiency. Goals scored 32, and goals conceded 39. So that's an okay. It's not perfect. It's almost 50-50, leaning in towards their favor, I guess. We have Curacao there, but we'll save that for the next game. We'll talk about that because we have to play Curacao. We only played them 3 times according to this data here. And Terry, as we know, the stats don't lie. It's not about opinions. But
stats don't lie, mate. And I think what we've got to look at here, that's pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
What we've seen there in them stats. But Guatemala, like most of our competitors today, they've had probably 5 to 7 years development program behind the scenes. So they're bringing kids on and giving them clear pathways to get into the national team. And they're doing great jobs. We haven't had that in Trinidad. We still haven't got that in Trinidad. Yeah. We're not behind the scenes seeing that development program, churning these kids out. And more often than not now, Andrea, we're seeing success as getting these kids out of Trinidad into somewhere else, into teams elsewhere, to further their development.
Correct. And, the interesting thing about historical stats, and this is where you need people who also understand how to read stats. That's historical form. That's all the games we ever played against them. And, sometimes that could be deceptive sometimes. So we may have victories in the past. Yeah. But what you really need to look at is maybe the last 2 or 3 years. So you can see their recent style of play. Yeah. Guatemala and those Central American teams have a lot of, they're very South American influenced.
Yes.
And they play a lot of attacking play down the wings very fast. When things get tough, they have that aggression, that extra grit that you need. And I've seen it sometimes in games where it does make the difference. There was games that we had in the previous, under previous coaches that we had in the bag, and they fought back and they ground out a draw and things like that. Yes. We had to fight back and get a draw, games that we should have won.
Yes.
And it's very important, in addition to the tactics and all these things, that, hopefully Angus is getting it into his troops, and Aubrey David, who's now the captain now. It's also a battle as well.
Yes.
So, tactics and formations aside, that mentality that you spoke about, in the past in previous interviews.
Yes.
It's a war a lot of times. You have to be calm as well, but you have to fight.
And you see, Andrea, when you look at world football today, and you've just said it, South America have always been geared up to possession football. They're not a team they're not nations that want to sit back and defend and numbers behind the ball. They want to kill you with passing and movement and getting in behind and scoring goals. So a lot of their games are full of goals. We've been, over the recent times, back behind the ball, trying to be very defensive, which has worked on some occasions and we've got good results. But the longevity of that will not work out, as we've seen from the stats.
Yes. And we're going to take a look at the previous games. We have some formations. We're trying to figure out the approach of Guatemala.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 games, we played, obviously, they played El Salvador and also Curacao. So, we're going to pull the formations up for that one.
Yeah.
So this is against Curacao. He packed the midfield with 5.
Yes.
1 striker up front and, 4 at the back. As he indicated he would, and we spoke about that before. Obviously, his plan is to stifle the midfield.
Yeah.
And as we saw in the stats, that results in minimal amount of chance creations.
Yeah.
But, I guess he could counter argue that he won the result.
But you see, what I see about that is the 2 fullbacks become wingers. They push on. The 2 centre-backs split, so they keep good possession. They've got a good shape at the back. The 2 wingers, the 7 and 20, as you're seeing on there, the left winger and right winger, become midfield players. So you've got not just 5 midfield players there. Your centre forward drops into space, moving the ball, and it's all about possession of the ball, keeping the ball, getting into areas where they then kick into the next thing is their movements in and around the box to create chances.
Yeah.
So I like what the coach has done. I think he's done a great job over time, and the players are enjoying it.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, he has an interesting tactic as well, because we're going to look at the other one for the other game that they played.
Yeah.
He also used a 4-4-2 formation, which we're going to pull up now.
Yeah.
And, we'll just take a quick look and then cut back to us. But that's basically the same formation that he used in previous games.
Yeah.
He used 5 in the last one. So, Terry, seeing that formation there, he definitely goes for let's lock things up first.
Correct.
So his variation is really just keep it simple. That's probably as attacking as it gets.
The 4-4-2 is going back in time. That's what, years ago when I was playing, probably the most popular formation.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But the thing is now the game is moving so much where you're leaving a few, giving the opposition a little bit of space at the back. You're starting to rely on your 2 centre-backs that are doing the job. We've only got to look at the top club sides in the world, and they're offering 6 and 7 players to go forward, which means they're trusting and relying upon good defenders, 1 or 2 of them at the back to safe house.
Yep.
But that's the way the game's moving today. Possession football, in and around the box. Don't give it away. Try and run up the clock with your possession count in your 50 and 60 minutes of the game, percent of the game. And beyond that, it's how you create your chances at the end of the day and get players into the box.
Yes, yes. And, with that being said, we're going to cut to another commercial break where we'll come back and talk about, the key players, where we are on the table, and our chances of making it into the playoffs. So I'll see you in a couple moments.
Don't miss out on potential business. Start combining targeted outdoor advertising with social media marketing to maximize the impact on your target audience. Capture and engage your audience even more with interactive games and live streaming to create memorable experiences that make your brand unique. Step outside the box and into the street, taking advertising to the forefront.
Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, powerful, natural anti-inflammatory supplement that has helped millions find relief from their pain, just like world-renowned cricketer Kyron Pollard.
I've been playing cricket for most of my life, and I don't know what it feels like to wake up and not be sore. If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you.
Just like world-renowned cricketer Dwayne Bravo.
Don't wait until it's too late. Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL.
Live healthy, stay strong with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food store today.
All right, folks, and we're back, and we're going to continue the discussion. There's so much information. We're trying to condense this, but as I said in the first episode, time. The construct of time is not our friend. Terry and I would talk about this all day, but unfortunately we can't. Maybe that will change in the future, folks. Let us know when you scan that QR code, and let us know what you think. So I'm going to head into some quick stats. We're going to take a look at the key players in this matchup. So we have some wonderful data, again, from the folks of SuperScore, Telfa. And we have some lovely heat maps as well for Trinidad. We'll also look at Guatemala as well. Obviously in the last 2 matches, got 1 goal, 1 assist, key passes 6, duels 1, 48%. He does use a lot of pace, as you know.
Yep.
Accurate passes 69 because he does attack from the wings. You can see on the map where he runs a lot at his spaces, but you can also see, obviously, folks with the heat maps, I could explain that, the red areas are where he concentrates his movement a lot. And it shows, it's an indication of the type of football they're playing, where he has sporadic movements all around the pitch. And then for Guatemala, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Hagen from Guatemala, he is definitely that center classic number 9, it looks like from the heat maps there. Goalkeeper. He has 9 saves, that's at center back. Obviously, his heat map will be in one spot, he's not going to move. So apparently he's very crucial for Guatemala.
Yeah, he's been very solid for them. He gives nothing away. He's got that experience and knowledge. And he's a calming influence at the back.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, seeing these key players and so on, I'm going to mention the table real quick. So we're going to pull the table up real quick. And Trinidad, is at 6 points with a lovely graphic there.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Come on, guys.
We all want Trinidad and Tobago to win. Of course we do.
Yes,
yeah. We'd like them to do it with a bit of style.
Of course, of course. And when we give criticism, it's constructive criticism.
Correct.
And with some data, folks, because we love data. So as you can see, folks, Trinidad are on top with 6 points. Panama has 4. Guatemala with 4, Martinique 3, Curacao 0, El Salvador 0. So, Terry, now that we've seen the table and the key players and so on, we do have a good chance of making it into the playoffs, which we'll touch on when we come back from the break.
Yeah.
But, seeing, their key goalkeeper their key player is a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I keep saying striker for some reason. I'm used to saying strikers, folks. But that's good that we're acknowledging the goalkeepers because people forget goalkeepers and defenders all the time. We're going to play very defensive football, more than likely on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
You know, we know Telfer is a speedy attacking player. And then we have their goalkeeper who seems to be their most player.
Yeah.
You know, do you think that's going to be kind of a stalemate?
I think when you look at the whole group, the big question for me, Andre, is how serious are these nations taking the Nations League?
Yeah.
Because El Salvador have got some terrific players that have not turned up, they're not come, they're not involved in their recent games. And we're looking at Trinidad and Tobago and the game coming up. Lots of the key players, the Levi Garcias of this world, are not within the squad this time.
Yeah.
So is that the club sides not really taking on side the Nations League? I hope not, because us as fans, we want to see the best players out there doing their stuff for the team.
Yes, and that's a valid question because, you know, people will, and we'll talk about this in the final slot after the commercial break, but, you know, those key players and the effect and, do people take, I mean, we take it seriously, but do the clubs in Europe take it seriously and around the region? And that's something we'll definitely talk about when we come back from our last commercial break, folks.
Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, powerful, natural anti-inflammatory supplement that has helped millions find relief from their pain, just like world-renowned cricketer Kyron Pollard.
I've been playing cricket for most of my life, and I don't know what it feels like to wake up and not be sore. If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you.
Just like world-renowned cricketer Dwayne Bravo.
Don't wait until it's too late. Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL.
Live healthy, stay strong with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food store today.
Don't miss out on potential business. Start combining targeted outdoor advertising with social media marketing to maximize the impact on your target audience. Capture and engage your audience even more with interactive games and live streaming to create memorable experiences that make your brand unique. Step outside the box and into the street, taking advertising to the forefront.
All right, folks, and we're back, and we're trying to fit in a lot of information here, and we hope this is very useful, and you can let us know your thoughts when you scan that QR code, and also, head over to the website, extvmedia.com as well. We'll have some interesting titles and articles to talk about. But I'm going to read out some information here really quickly so the fans will know how important this game is for Trinidad and Tobago, if you're fans of the country, which you should be. Trinidad and Tobago can wrap up qualification for the quarterfinals with a win against Guatemala in Port of Spain. Although 2 points, if we get a draw, that's also not bad as well. Yes. And also a little interesting tidbit for you South American fans. Juan Arango, I'm looking at you. The CONCACAF's 6 top teams in the Nations A-League will appear as guests at the 2024 Copa America. Terry, I love the Copa America.
Yes.
Argentina. Former national coach Stephen Hart was really close to getting us there last time. But, there are some incentives, because we spoke about that just before the break, about the European teams and the clubs probably not taking it seriously. But for Trinidad, getting into this competition is really brilliant. So, before we give our final verdict, knowing all the information we know now and the possibility we could get to the playoffs, possibly play in the Copa America with the big boys, what do you think about that?
I think it's a great opportunity, absolutely. And I'm just hoping that we attack it.
Yes.
Let's go for it. Let's go for the 3 points and qualify.
Yes.
If we're playing defensive, if we've got too many people behind the ball, these teams, will expose us and create chances. Smith's had a great time in goal for Trinidad in the last 2 games, and he's made some very important saves to keep us in games. I don't want it to run that way. We're good enough. We've got the players that can show themselves, their quality, their class, and win this game comfortably, in my opinion.
Yes. So just to wrap things up now, Terry, the final verdict, how do you think this game is going to go?
I think it's going to go 2-0 Trinidad and Tobago. That's what I want.
Yes. I think it'll be 2-1. It'll be a tricky type game. I think they may nick one, wake us up a little bit, but I think it'll probably be 2-1 really close.
Be positive. That's what I'm expecting.
So I think we're going to win this one. So folks, let us know what you think in the comment section. We're going to have to wrap up this wonderful episode with Terry joining us once again.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, we have a nice wide array of guests. Shaka Hislop, Colin Board. Check out all those videos on our Facebook page. It's available for the international audiences. It's been an absolute pleasure, folks. Thank you for joining us.